What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be planting an Encore peach tree, but before we do that we've got to take out this Chojuro Asian pear that last year we cut it back to the ground because of fire blight, and it had really taken over this tree. As you can see, the tree is sending up lots of shoots, but we're gonna call this one done here. It's not gonna produce fruit, and we're gonna replace it with the Encore peach. So as I rake this back, you can see here, this is why people like the back to Eden gardening method. If you just, I just barely dug back, and this is black gold here. And this is why. I'm not even to the native soil here yet, but this is why that back to Eden gardening method has validity. If we dig over there outside of the garden, you're not gonna see that. And this is, I think, 3 full years, starting year 4 of doing this. All right, so I raked back a lot of the wood chips. I'm gonna start digging this thing out. But one thing I don't wanna do is I don't really wanna mix the native soil with the wood chips. So I'm gonna toss it all in this tarp. I'm doing 2 things at once because this hole will be good to go for me to plant the peach. I'm getting towards the bottom here. Yeah. Easy. So we've dug out our fire blight infested Chojuro pear. And now we're gonna bring in a Encore peach tree. So the reason I did buy another Chojuro Asian pear, and we're gonna plant it right over there, but I'm not gonna plant another Asian pear in the same spot that had fire blight, which is why we wanted to get another peach tree, and we're gonna put a peach tree here where the Asian pear was, because peach trees don't get fire blight. This is our Encore peach, and as you can see, this is a bare root. The reason we went with the Encore peach, as I've said in earlier videos, we've had issues with our peach trees with fungal issues, and I think it's because we get very late frosts and even freezes into April. So everything blooms in March when we get like random 80-degree days, and then we get freezes and everything dies back. So the Encore is a late variety. So this should bloom very late in the season, which should protect us from some of those early blooms, late frosts. So what we have on this, we order a bare root tree, and right here you see the graft. It is very important that we do not bury the graft. So we're gonna plant this soil level about 2 inches beneath the graft. Because if we do bury the graft, we're not gonna get a semi-dwarf peach tree, we're gonna get a full-size peach tree. So if my soil level's here, I'd say that's pretty safe bet right there. I see a ton of YouTube videos that say, the back to Eden gardening method doesn't work. It ties up nitrogen in the soil. Well, that's true if I allow wood chips to go into this hole right now. The wood chips are a surface mulch. Do not put them in the soil. This is why I used a tarp to separate the native soil from the wood chip mulch. The wood chip breaks down into compost, but it should not go in the hole. And that is a crucial part, because if you do, you will tie up nitrogen. And what that does It's the fancy scientific way to say that the energy is going to be put into breaking down the wood chips as opposed to growing the tree. And you don't want that. We want everything working towards building this tree. Now, you see I'm kind of packing it down a little bit. I don't want any air pockets. I don't want air pockets. I just want everything nice and packed in here. And we're gonna keep filling up to about 2 inches beneath our graft. All right, so we got our soil back. I want to level it and pack it in. So remember, don't bury the graft, because we buy these as semi-dwarf or dwarf rootstock fruit trees. And the reason we do that is we don't want them to be full size. This is a 50-foot by 100-foot garden, so while it's pretty big, it's not huge, and we could only fit a few full-size trees. Whereas if we get dwarf or semi-dwarf, we can fit a ton of them, and we can fit lots of different varieties, which helps with cross-pollination. It helps with diversity, and it's just overall better. So now we're gonna water this in, and then we're gonna mulch it, and then we're gonna prune it. And I'm gonna do one deep water here, and I don't really water too much after that. I kind of keep an eye on the tree, but I don't want to overwater these because I want them to work and dig down and find water by digging deeper into the roots or into the soil. I want the roots to dig down deeper. So we're gonna water nice and deep here. Okay. We had those wood chips that we raked back, but we're just gonna top it off here with a little fresh load. All right, so we're gonna rake back our existing mulch. Again, this is a surface mulch. A lot of this mulch has broken down nicely. You see the dark. I'm not gonna bury the graft again. I'm gonna bring it in around it. I'm not gonna bury that graft. So as you can see, we've got our graft here. Now, for the sake of building soil, I'm gonna dump these wood chips. Do a couple things. They definitely prevent weeds, or at least they slow them down. But when they're fresh and they're thick like this is probably 8-ish inches of wood chips, the weeds don't really come through. They do come through after it's been sitting here for a couple of years, and as things break down, it actually lowers, and you have to keep topping it off every couple of years. All right, so this is gonna be the last thing that I'm gonna do here. Peach trees want to be pruned to an open center. You want as much light and airflow coming down into the center of the tree, as opposed to apple trees that want this central leader. We're gonna cut it out. So right now, I'm gonna come down to here. I'm gonna take this whole top out. Good clean cut. I'm gonna cut this guy. I'm gonna cut this guy. I'm gonna cut this guy. This guy. This guy. You're like, what are you doing? Well, this tree is not going to produce fruit for 3 to 4 years. And so right now, I don't really want it working all hard on fruit. I want it working on roots. So I'm going to take off these branches that are going to want to produce flowers and buds and fruit, and I'm not going to let it. I'm going to prune it back so that this thing focuses on root production. Anything that's going to get shaded, I'm going to cut it out. We don't want a ton of vertical branches. We really don't want any. I like that more. Light and air are your friends. As soon as you get branches clouding everything and shading everything, you start to get disease. And around here, we've seen, we have a lot of disease. So it may have looked drastic. I cut it down quite a bit. I cut off a lot of the branches, but I think this tree is gonna be set off for success. All right, we're gonna call this good here. We took out an old Chojuro fire blight infested pear tree and we planted an Encore peach tree. And we're praying that this one, because it's a late bloomer, is going to dodge a lot of the fungal issues that we've had with our other peach trees. But only time will tell. We'll be praying over this. We do believe that the Lord is the one that provides, and we will keep you guys updated as time progresses.